What's your name?
Sato.
Are you ready to pitch and get some feedback?
Yes.
Sato, what are you building?
The loneliness epidemic is here. We're feeling lonelier than ever. And that's killing us from the inside quietly. Building deeper connection is very hard nowadays, so we created Waffle. It's a shared journal app that guides you to open up and connect with the people you care about most. So it could be your partner, children, parents, or best friends. We provide judgment-free space with personalized AI-generated daily questions. And it works. So far, we help more than 400,000 people. Many of them come from counselors and therapists' recommendations. Whether their marriage is falling apart, estranged from teenage daughter, or going through difficult long-distance relationship, people are fixing it by journaling together on Waffle.
Under a minute, good job.
Very nervous.
Breathe. Yeah, you're all set. It's not easy to be up here with all the lights and the cameras. Super interesting. And, I love the loneliness epidemic as a theme, or I don't love it as a theme. It's a great target area for entrepreneurs.
I've seen so many startups that start, there is loneliness epidemic, that to me it sounds like, oh, there is like, people are obese, or, people suffer from cancer, right? It's just like such a big topic now that, like going back to what I said before, I love startups to start from something smaller, right? So it's like, okay, there is loneliness epidemic, and there is 1,000 other startups that solve it. From the pitch, it's not immediately obvious to me which part of it you are trying to, and how you trying to establish yourself as a leader, right? So, yeah.
I'll, by the way, double click on that, because then at the end, you got to some interesting places of like the examples that you gave, where some of them were surprising to me, but I think you were giving such specific examples only to kind of heal what Ihar's talking about here of like, hey, let me make it real for you. But the challenge is they were so specific at the end. So there's a middle ground, right? Of like, who's your target? And you can say it this way, right? Who's your target initial audience? Where do you expect to go over time? But maybe this starts my first broad question. So they're journaling together. Do you mean literally like on the same page? Or do you mean this is some sort of social feed where if we're the three of us in some sort of, I don't know if it's like a group style feature, when we journal. Which one?
You know the word throuple?
Oh, throuple, yes. We're a throuple inside the journal, and we see each other's. Give a little bit of like, what does the multiplayer experience look like?
Okay. In the app, you can create as many journals as you want. And our typical users has 3 journals. One with partner, and one with children, and one is for themselves.
Oh, okay.
And then you get a personalized question based on your relationship type in your journal. So if you're sharing a journal with your partner, you get like marriage or couple AI-generated questions and children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll have to adopt him for this to work so that we can use the app. But so that surprised me, which is maybe also pitch feedback and goes back to the same theme of it's very specific in a way I didn't expect. And maybe I didn't catch it, right? Like I'm trying to rewind to your pitch in my head and maybe the specificity was there. Did you catch this sort of like target
No,
parent,
but I think
family?
I think that he mentioned in the pitch both couples and parents. Yes.
But maybe optionally. It didn't feel like it was the initial user experience.
So to be fair, it's an interesting angle, right? Because I actually did a search on Play Store journals, journaling apps like a couple of weeks ago, and I never thought of it as being shared experience.
Right. No,
I thought when you journal, it's typically like your very personal thing, right? So
yeah. So is the main innovation to you? You're going to say both, but like I'm curious where you're focusing a lot of the product innovation, the concept of the AI-generated questions, or the concept that there's a collective experience to it.
I see. I think 2 parts: AI question and a metaphor. We always get this feedback saying, "Oh, marriage counseling didn't work for my husband, but this one worked for us." Or
interesting. So, sorry. Let me clarify something else then. So, if we're journaling in the tool, are we getting questions at the same time? The same question, is it dependent on how we're reporting something's going on in our life?
Same question. Every day except Wednesday. Wednesday we show different questions to each members based on their specific journal entries. Other than that, you get same question.
And that's generated by AI.
Yes.
So there are some so it's interesting. You're attacking like multiple spaces. So like another space is the couple apps, and there's a bunch of couple apps that are less about entering text, but more about answering some questions, relationships. There is one paired is very well known, right? So but there's obviously separate like habit tracking apps and journaling apps and like diary apps, and you're probably attacking that space. It still feels like you're doing a lot of things, while at the same time, when you're focused particularly on AI questions, one thought in my head is that ChatGPT is a big competitor for a lot of products, and it is competitor for a therapist. And I know people who actually use ChatGPT daily as a therapist.
Right.
How do you think about this competition?
I think journaling creates this kind of excuse. It's your place, and journaling you instantly know what to do. You write down your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of helps our users, like gives users excuse to open up. It's a journaling, but it's happened to be shared with somebody you care about most. But it's a journaling after all, so you can dump your thoughts and feelings in there, and to kind of tell that person how you're feeling.
I will say I don't love this answer. And I expect you to answer differently. Let me tell you what I expected.
Okay.
The multiplier side of it and the workflows around the multiplier side are probably your best answer, because OpenAI is not likely to care enough to like create, unless they have it for other reasons, a multiplayer chat experience. Again, unless it becomes their own product innovation that isn't going to be related to this. And that is a lasting, this is, your question was essentially, are you a GPT wrapper? You didn't say it that way, but that was the fundamental of the question. And, in answering this way, it wasn't that convincing. You might be right, but you might be wrong. And ChatGPT could have an auto prompt that says, tell me every day, ask me every day to journal. And suddenly, the mix there isn't that distinct. So that's just like a piece of investor response feedback for you of like, think about the things that are durable inside your pitch. But I guess the other reason that surprised me is because I still can't tell what you think the innovation is. Because now you said, okay, it's the prompting you, right? And that's your answer to this. But it's multiplayer. That feels more important maybe after I heard your pitch than you are saying it is, having answered some of these questions. And then there's the notion of AI generated responses, which we've had startups who, like, that's a lot of their value prop is asking very specific questions based off of, they weren't journaling necessarily, but more this therapist thing of like, they'll get specific over time at like prompting you. And that trifecta of things, again, I'm not certain where would you call it? It's Waffle?
Yes.
Where Waffle is like best. And that might be something you're still figuring out. How early are you?
3 years.
3 years. How many users?
What's that?
How many users?
400,000.
Oh, wow.
How many of them are paying?
Paid users, we have 2,000 paid users.
How expensive it is?
$200
per year. Per year. What do they get for their payment as opposed to free users?
They get better questions. They get like basic functionality like photo attachment or commenting features or PDF export. Those kind of stuff. Yeah.
So this was before the real, or what, 3 years at this point, I guess could be during GPT 3.5.
It was before. ChatGPT was launched 2022 December.
Got
so
it.
It was right before.
Okay. So you started this before LLMs were even a part of the equation. Is most of your success then coming mostly from this social feature then?
Social feature and recommendations from marriage counselor, parenting coaches.
See, I wonder about the like mix here, if even you talking about this, like, hey, what's the most valuable? Because the fact that you have this many users off of these features, and again, I still didn't feel that from you, right? Like, was that part of your pitch, by the way? Did we see how much progress as part of your pitch?
He mentioned the users,
Am I deaf today? What's happening?
No,
I didn't. So maybe some of this is me, just losing track of things. So I think one of the things there is saying, hey, here's why people are coming so far, and here's what we're building that's going to make them stay. And this goes to like some of the moat stuff we were talking about before, like, because I think that again is durable. Anything else feels like it could be a wrapper that anybody else builds. But you saying, I already have a hook into people. Here's some of the behavior that they like modifying with our app. And again, I still kind of want more from like what happens when you make this multiplayer. That feels so important to me.
Let me talk a little bit about the category, right? So besides the mental health or like loneliness category, you're also in the category of phone apps. And this is a really hard category to raise money for. It's like extremely hard, right? So there are, it's important to like realize if you ever go to VCs, did you raise money, by the way, so far? How much?
A little over 2 million.
Million. Did you raise from any consumer app specific VCs or more from like generalist?
We raised from Snap. We went through their accelerator. One of the 10 companies.
VCs?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's less for you because you already did raise from some VCs, but maybe more for audience that are building something else. We see a lot of in our funnel, a lot of phone app, and what I see is that especially for first-time entrepreneurs. By the way, are you first-time or second-time?
First time.
First-time. For a lot of first-time entrepreneurs, basically this is a way to kind of approach from perspective. I know this audience because the audience is consumers. And I kind of understand how to build an app, and I have the product. And it's there is just, first of all, there is so much competition, right? So it's whenever I type in journaling app in the App Store, there's extremely a lot of competition. And when you want to achieve venture scale results, you need to aim to be number one, right? So, and first of all, obviously there are consumer apps like Instagram that got really good success, and TikTok and so on. But there are some that even are very well known that are still kind of somewhere, like Headspace, right? So very well known, became a unicorn, and now it's a kind of multi-billion pre-IPO company that takes forever to get anywhere, right? So, and then since then it's really hard, right? So, and vast majority of phone app companies are not actually good for venture money because they either figure out a CAC LTV ratio and then they start just printing good money for themselves. It's like kind of rich lifestyle, rich lifestyle business that gets distributions, dividends, but will never exit in the venture scale. Or some part of them will become viral and just shoot to the top and everybody knows about them, and that's kind of TikToks of the world. But vast majority of them will be in this like kind of able to get to million of ARR and then cannot go any further because CAC LTV just don't match, and it will forever be like number 50 in the App Store. And that's why, for example, for us, it's really hard. We did invest in a couple of phone apps. And for us, typically, we either invest in apps with a very strong viral mechanic, and it's very obvious. Social apps in general, they only make sense if you invite 15 people there. So we kind of, if we believe that the founders are really good in building viral apps based on their previous history. And or we invest in very expensive products, right? So if a product costs a user like $100 a month or $200 a month, right? So then yes, we believe that there's a completely different CAC LTV mechanic, right, compared to like $10 a month products, right? And in general, that's okay. I'll stop here.
Well, I think this goes to kind of my overall feedback to it, and we'll have to close for the sake of time, but I think this is like really great feedback because what it gets to is I think you're kind of caught in between stories right now because you have something that's really working, and then he put it in this phone app bucket, which I think it is in literally, but in my head, if you anchor the story again more towards here's what we've done so far that's successfully hooked these first 400,000, here's where LLMs get us next. Yeah. Again, I go to the idea of like, you mentioned the virality. There's an inherent viral mechanic here.
Well, not inherent because like 2-3 people and that's it. You don't need to use it for.
But if you have a 1
friends.
or 2 ratio, I guess because it could be it's a kid who doesn't have another person they're referring. That's fair, but it's more than most. In other words, it's still in this in between where I think if you think about your pitch and the orientation of your pitch, unless again I might have been deaf during all of it, but assuming that like I think I got excited in a good way on the idea. I was starting to imagine multiplayer journaling in my head of like, oh, what could that look like? Is it at the same time on the same page or different responses? But if you anchor your pitch towards, again, what worked, here's what's inherently maybe not viral, but shareable about it, and here's where LLMs get us to get these retention hooks in, then I think you might find people who like the theme or the topic. Again, a generalist investor might go, okay, I see too many hurdles. But there'll be others who go, oh, if I believe in the hooks that Waffle has so far, and LLMs are going to take it to the 11th level, because I think there are a lot of these businesses that are secretly actually just, at this pinnacle point of a very successful LLM implementation of taking off. That's maybe the story that if you're going, again to that venture crowd and looking for the next $5-10 million, that someone can bet on.
To add to that, I really didn't hear the vision, like where are we going to be in 10 years and how are we going to be there, right? So it's like, how can you become a leader in the category? How can you become number 1 app in the journal, right? How can you get me to install this app or like everybody in this crowd, like how Instagram or TikTok did, right? So, and from ventures size results, that's what you need.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.